FA, as he does every year, leading out the two teams. West Ham on the right, led by John Lyall. Arsenal led by Terry Neill. There's young Paul Allen just going through there, the 17-year-old. The wall of noise has hit him now. Brooking and Devonshire at the back for West Ham. And two old buddies there. They played against each other. John Lyall and Terry Neill. Have you ever seen managers more relaxed? But I'm sure both of them well aware of what a proud moment this is for them. Managers up and down the country watching that now would be saying, my word, I'd swap where I am now to be where they are now. It'll be the Arsenal players who are presented first. Arsenal in their, what has become really their favourite Wembley strip, yellow shirts and blue shorts, and West Ham today will be wearing an all-white strip. And on the left, His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, who is President of the Football Association. On the right is Sir Harold Thompson, the Chairman of the Football Association. And on the left of the picture as we look, Mr. Ted Croker, Secretary of the Football Association. Behind them, Bob Lord of Burnley. So Arsenal, the first team to be presented. Say memory plays tricks on one, but I always had the feeling that the anthem was played after the presentation of the teams. Billy Young there, tall, red-haired central defender who's had such a storming cup run, David Price, and Alan Sunderland. The Duke, no doubt, asking him if he fancies scoring another late dramatic winner this year. John Devine, what a moment this must be for him, with all his family across from Ireland to see him. Sammy Nelson, the unlucky one, but took it really like a man. And David O'Leary, just 22 years old, and so much experience behind him, and Terry Neill. Well, if Terry gets going, the Duke may never get away from him. And now it's West Ham's turn, with their captain Billy Bonds, Trevor Brooking, and Alan Devonshire. Well, West Ham have won their last two finals here in 1964 when they beat Preston, and in 75 when they beat Fulham. And we'll see, you can see right in the centre of your picture there, he is shaking hands, young Paul Allen. Alongside him, Jeff Pike. Ray Stewart there, and Stuart Pearson. And the big man there, Phil Parkes. 10 years ago this month, he came down from Walsall to London to join Queen's Park Rangers. David Cross with a beard, played here in a League Cup final, in fact, against Spurs for Norwich City. And the referee there, speaking with His Royal Highness, is George Courtney. And as Brian was saying last night, the feeling is that the West Ham fans might have a little more volume in their voice, and the bubble song certainly seems to be dominating the Wembley scene at the moment. But now the teams have broken away as the guest of honour goes back to the royal box. And here at Arsenal with Pat Rice there, you can see applauding the Arsenal fans. And my word, they've been loyal fans, the way they've travelled up and down the M1 and into Europe as well to follow their team this season. This is Arsenal's 67th game of the season. And this is the team that represents them today, with Pat Jennings in goal, Pat Rice, John Devine, Brian Talbot, who got that winner against Liverpool in the semi-final, David O'Leary, Willie Young, Liam Brady, Alan Sunderland with 28 goals this season, Frank Stapleton with 24, the real threat to West Ham there, David Price number 10, Graham Ricks number 11, and the substitute, the fullback Sammy Nelson, their manager Terry Neal. West Ham in a change strip also of all white, with Phil Parkes in goal for them, Ray Stewart, Frank Lampard, Billy Bonds, Alvin Martin, who just yesterday signed a long-term contract to stay with the club, Alan Devonshire, Paul Allen, the 17-year-old, Stuart Pearson, who scored here for Manchester United against Liverpool, David Cross, Trevor Brooking, Jeff Pike, and their substitute, another fullback, Paul Brush, with their manager John Lyle. West Ham. Well, Paul Allen, I think all that can be said has been said about him, and really it's now down to him in the next 90 minutes to have his say. 17 years old, the youngest player ever to appear in a Wembley Cup final, beating by 89 days Howard Kendall, who was 17 when he played for Preston in 1964 against West Ham. And David Cross having, that's a nice shot. David Cross, the experienced man, having a little word with Paul Allen there. George Courtney, the referee, deputy headmaster from Spennymoor in County Durham, 38 years old, one of the youngest referees, in fact, to get a final. Pat Rice and Billy Bonds, the two captains. Well, stay as we are, I think Billy Bonds said, having won that toss. And the whistle that's just going into George Courtney's mouth, a special silver whistle, I'm told, that was given him by a friend who 20 years ago said, if ever you get to a Wembley Cup final, I'll buy you a silver whistle. Well, the man at the moment is Brian Talbot in many ways. A winner here with Ipswich 2 seasons ago, a winner here with Arsenal last season. Will he get 3 wins on the trot? Or will Billy Bonds and his men stop him? West Ham clearly the underdogs. But who knows, with Trevor Brooking there, all things are possible. But West Ham know, and they fear that Arsenal will come hard at them, and they need to survive very much the first 20 minutes and then to begin to play it their way from then on. But West Ham have beaten 3 First Division sides on their way to this final. West Bromwich, Aston Villa with a last-minute penalty, and Everton in the semi-final. Pat Rice, his 5th FA Cup final, and Liam Brady here. Hasn't scored in the Cup this season, but today would be a good day to start. 5th Cup final for this man. The only survivor, in fact, Pat Rice, the Arsenal captain from the 1971 double side. And Pat Jennings, his 6th Wembley final in a 17-year career. Those immense hands will have a job to do if West Ham have anything to say about it this afternoon. So the 1980 Cup final is underway. Arsenal attacking the goal to our left in yellow shirts and dark shorts. If you're watching it in black and white, just watch for those black shorts of Arsenal. West Ham in an all-white strip. It's O'Leary for Arsenal. Brady saying, let me have that one. Rice Played again for O'Leary, patiently. Swept wide here again for Talbot. Back to Rice again. I don't think a West Ham player's touched the ball yet. It's Ricks with a very severe haircut, and a long ball forward that catches Brady fractionally offside and gives West Ham a free kick.
It gives West Ham a free kick, and it gives them the first touch to the ball, because the first time Arsenal played it long, they lost it. Young Ricks shouldn't have played it long.
Well, here's Phil Parkes. Ray Stewart. Forward to Trevor Brooking. Chested down by Pearson. Brooking again. Trying to get young Pike on his way, but O'Leary's there turning it back. Devonshire's header. And cross. And Brooking beaten there by Willie Young. Here's Alvin Martin. And now Ray Stewart. Played forward again towards cross. Very active, but again Willie Young was in quickly for Arsenal. Price. Brady. Stapleton's up front for him. Here's Stapleton. Played inside again for Price. There's a bit of space for him, and quickly cut out though by Alan Devonshire. It's with Lampard. Pearson. A little touch off there for Devonshire. Well, he's gone past Price. Still with Devonshire. Loves to run with the ball there. Played inside here for Cross. He's got a bit of support here from Brooking. Swept wide first time there for Stewart. Played back this time for Billy Bonds. Nice move building up by West Ham, but in the end, well, Willie Young's header only coming as far as Paul Allen. But luckily for him, he didn't control it, but it went to David Cross, who hits it first time, and it bounces off Pat Jennings. From Cross. Good confident build-up there just for a moment, Brian, from West Ham.
Yeah, it was rather spoilt actually when David Cross tried that shot from, I would say, 30-odd yards. It just brought Pat Jennings into the game.
Bonds looked as though he might have lost it, and then just stabs it back to Phil Parkes. Now it's Lampard for West Ham. Talking about Arsenal's 67th game, but West Ham are playing their 58th today. They've both had long, hard, pressure-filled seasons. It's Billy Bonds for West Ham. Pearson trying a little back header there towards David Cross. Brady to Willie Young. And now Bonds back again to Parkes. Now, young Paul Allen. A little flick there for Cross. Brooking. Again swept, just curling there to Ray Stewart on the far side. Pike. And here's Allen again. Bit of space for him. Brady staying off him. He'll go back again, I think. Stewart won't want to make a mistake. As a manager, do you feel that edginess yourself, Brian?
Yes, it's there all the time. It's evident. What West Ham are doing, Brian, is they are playing with a little amount of confidence, and they're pushing it around a bit. The full-backs are receiving it from the goalkeeper, which is always a good sign.
And a nice touch there by Pearson on for Brooking. Played wide again here for Pike. Oh, and he's played it again for Pearson. A little nick in there towards David Cross, but it'll be too far forward for him and behind. But again, as Brian was saying, an illustration of the confidence of West Ham, playing those balls about smoothly. Just John Lyall, I suppose, would have wanted the final pass to be a little better. It was a lovely touch by Pearson, that's for sure. Martin leaping for this one and beating Stapleton in the air, but Talbot to Price. Played on for Rice. Martin again, chesting it down, wanting to take that responsibility, but then giving it to Talbot. Here's Ricks. Swept for Devine, almost the first touch the young Dubliners had of the ball. And Bonds behind for the goal kick. Well, young John Devine brought all his family across from Ireland to be here and watch him today. He had a really good semi-final for Arsenal against Liverpool. And the only player in the Arsenal side not to have played here in the Wembley final. Cross leaping in for that one, but O'Leary's head just getting there. Devine playing it forward there for Stapleton. Martin away for West Ham. Brooking. Talbot. Ricks. And Stapleton, well, little Paul Allen getting in there, battling away at Stapleton, then pulling him down, and it's a free kick this time for Arsenal. The youngster getting into the thick of it there, and it's Brady now for Arsenal. He's got Devine in a lot of space on the far side, but might try something a little more ambitious. Plays it through there, and tries to get a shot going from that return pass from Stapleton. And another throw out from the keeper. Pike going past Ricks. Brooking, cross. That'll not come back to Brooking. It's with Sunderland instead. Turned nicely with that ball. Found Brady. Brady seems to be playing that little bit more forward, where a lot of Arsenal fans I know like to see him. They feel that it's a little negative, maybe having a player of his skill playing as deep as he often does. Free kick for the shove there by Alvin Martin on David Price. So a free kick for Arsenal, and maybe the first little crisis for West Ham, because Willie Young's coming up on this side. Phil Parkes has got to watch him. Price is in there as well. Stapleton, a brilliant header of the ball too. And Brady chipping that little free kick in there. Parkes with it, safe, sure hands. And now Bonds for West Ham. Cross, tackling so tight, and so little time for anybody there at the moment. Brady curling one nicely towards Stapleton. Martin's going with him. Played back again for Ricks, and that goes for the corner of Pike. Again Willie Young is up, and this time accompanied by O'Leary as the ball is played there. Brooking. And a free kick this time for West Ham. It was Price edging in on the opposing number 10, Brooking. Young. Here's Devonshire. And here's Talbot. Finding Sunderland. A lot of activity up ahead by Price and by Stapleton, but it was cut out again by West Ham. And here's Devonshire. Stopped by Willie Young. Billy Bonds following it in. Here's Pike with Stewart ready to go outside him. Instead it's Devonshire. Now it's Stewart. He's turned his man Devine, and Devonshire lost his way a little bit there, but might get it back. Yes, he has. Stewart once more, the fullback who'd gone up and stayed up. Here's Pearson. Now, can he outwit O'Leary? He can't, but he gets a corner. Martin's up. Bonds is up. Cross is lurking at the far post as Brooking swings this left-footed corner in towards David Cross, but there was a shove that time by Cross on Willie Young.
What a waste, Brian, when you get a corner like that and centre forward wants to foul. All the relief that goes through the opposition's defence.
Talbot. And now Rice. Lampard. Devonshire. It's a West Ham throw. Devonshire finding Brooking. Stewart. And now Pike. Another free kick. But it's all very academic at the moment. There's not really the passion you expect from a local derby and a cup final. Certainly the last London Cup final between Fulham and West Ham was much the same, and so indeed was the one in '67 between Chelsea and Tottenham. But these are early days with only 11.5 minutes gone. No goals. Sunderland's backward flick, Martin guiding it back. Lampard. Leaving it for Pearson. Lampard's continued his run and Pearson has gone right past them all, pulled it back there. Pike, a shot that is well saved by Jennings. Good break by West Ham, and little Pike was really on that superbly. What a good break by West Ham, Brian.
Actually, when the shot was on, it was nearly a chance. He did well, Pearson, there, laying it in very, very early. It's an early shot as well. It came through a crowded box.
So the first real stinging attack has come from West Ham. Sunderland. And now West Ham forward again with Brooking. A little flick there for Cross, and in fact it comes through to Pearson. And here's Devonshire. West Ham really carrying the fight now to the favourites Arsenal as Devonshire goes past Talbot. The cross there that Jennings couldn't get. Oh, and Cross almost got it in there, and Pearson has! Well, the ball in the back of the net from Pearson's shot. Was involved there as well. Here's Devonshire with 13 minutes gone. Devonshire with the cross. Jennings couldn't reach that one. Cross had a bang at that one, and it comes out again to Pearson. And in fact, it went in off Brooking, I think.
Brooking definitely scored.
It was Brooking who got the touch right in that goal mouth. Well, Trevor Brooking with 14 minutes gone.
Absolute staggering goal, Brian, the build-up was. And for Trevor Brooking to be in a 6-yard area, that was incredible. And West Ham deserved it over the last couple of minutes.
Yes, they've put in one or two good attacks, West Ham. Played back for Billy Bonds. And John Lyle, thumbs up because everything's going according to plan. Now Lampard. A long ball forward towards David Cross, but O'Leary there getting it back to Pat Jennings. Sunderland, but they are great battlers, Arsenal, and their experience has been fantastic really over this season. They'll be there right to the finish without any question at all. There's a long way to go. Just a quarter of an hour of the first half gone. West Ham leading by a goal to nil. Brooking the scorer, and Arsenal now with this free kick with Liam Brady. Chipped in there towards Stapleton and wide of the West Ham goal, a goal kick. Well, let's look at that West Ham goal from another angle. Pearson shot coming in there, and in fact the header from Brooking. And when you see that again now, Brian, you realise what a very good instinctive header it was, because he had so little time.
If he hadn't have headed it, would have knocked his head off, Brian.
I think you could count on the fingers of one hand the goals that Trevor Brooking scores with his head in the course of a career, let alone a season. West Ham's throw, West Ham's goal. There's the header. Brooking playing it forward again, but out of play this time for an Arsenal throw. So it's Liam Brady who's got to get them moving now, and so too is the skipper Pat Rice. But Jack Charlton was saying earlier on today, they are such a resilient side, Arsenal, and their resilience will come in very handy now. Devine, Stapleton. Pearson. A few worry lines. No, a quarter of an hour gone. Just a little more than that. Already looking at his watch, Don Howe. Pike. So 17 minutes and 38 seconds gone, and West Ham leading 1-0. Brady, Ricks, Pike sticking to him well, and sticking to him a little too well for the liking of referee George Courtney, and so it's a free kick for Arsenal. Ricks with it, swung high there towards Willie Young, but too high for him. Martin following Young out. Talbot with the throw. No, he's going to leave it for Rice. Sunderland's overhead. O'Leary was right in there. Stapleton was in there too. And Talbot with a shot. Well, Martin, it was a handball, but it was a purely accidental one. And now a break for West Ham as Cross finds Pearson. Rice coming to close him down, still with Pearson. Played wide there towards David Cross. Just got up there with the header, but it was too high for him really to do anything about it. Sunderland challenged by Billy Bonds, and again. You're saying, Brian?
I'm just saying, Billy Bonds, what a competitor the bloke is. He's running the show at the moment, and that's what Arsenal are lacking. They haven't got anybody who's running the show at the moment.
But here's Brady, the man they would look to want to run that show for them. It's with Devine now. And it's a real competitive flavour about it now. It's a cup final that started in a rather lethargic way, and now it's really beginning to hot up. And you can hear the bubbles. Song from West Ham fans, and that's a song that Arsenal will want to silence. Brady slipping past one, slipping past another, finds Talbot here, a little 1-2, they're trying to get it going. And look at the coolness there of Ray Stewart, but then he gives it away to Ricks. Ricks' shot, only half saved there by Phil Cox. Devonshire. Oh, given away badly there by Devonshire. Price turning it in towards Brady, right in there. Will Brady get a chance of a shot himself? He may, and in the end it was Billy Bonds competing well again, and his header finding Brooking. A little touch by Brooking for Allen. Pike. Brooking. Play on, says referee Courtney. Brooking, a lovely pass this time for Cross. Shadowed by Talbot. Brooking again. Stewart. Brooking again. There's that long cross coming in towards Stuart Pearson. And a foul by Pearson on O'Leary, a free kick to Arsenal. Talbot. Brady. Rice. Stapleton. Sunderland. Stapleton trying to get a shot in, and who's the man blocking him again? Billy Bonds. And then calmly finding Lampard. Allen. Brooking. Oh, through the legs of Rice, but Price was there. Willie Young planting a good ball forward this time for Brian Talbot. Price spotted Ricks away out to the left there, but decided the pass. Looked for the return from Stapleton. Devine turning it back, but the whistle had gone. Paul Allen getting down for a nice little header there, touched on by Brooking for Pike. Pike is very, very active indeed at the moment for West Ham, and here's Brooking having a tremendous influence with Billy Bonds on this game, finding Jeff Pike. Lampard, Pike, Cross, touchdown again there. Everybody in the West Ham camp shouting for handball, but it wasn't given. And the ball comes out to Ricks. The long ball forward for Sunderland to chase, and Billy Bonds going with him. A corner. David Price will take it. Played wide there for Devine. A lot of space for him and time to get a good cross in there, but too close to Phil Parkes. Stewart. Straight to Leary, or rather Brady. Talbot. Oh, Devonshire got in quickly there. Brooking. Allen. It's a couple of 3 times young Paul Allen has had the ball and hasn't quite controlled it well enough. The first couple of occasions it fell nonetheless to a teammate. This time it's got Arsenal on their way. And Brooking right back there to make a little defensive header, and then the calm pass here for Lampard. Young. Price. Flaming handball, but the linesman was perfectly placed and kept his flag down. Stapleton trying to wriggle his way clear, and in the end it was Martin getting back there, but it's a free kick to West Ham, or rather to Arsenal. Indirect free kick with his arm aloft.
I hope he doesn't change his mind.
Brian referring to that Manchester United goal against Coventry when George Courtney appeared to indicate an indirect free kick, but he's certainly indicated at great length there, and the ball in fact has been played towards Ricks, and now Brooking can chase Devonshire away, but your money has to be on the cool skills of David O'Leary, only 22 years old, and that was only 8 days ago. Devine playing it forward, and a goal kick. But you have to say, Brian, that West Ham have come here as underdogs, but from the word go, they looked confident, and in fact they have made the better chances as well as scoring the only goal.
That's the thing that surprised me, actually, the confidence they're portraying. But what they've done in the last 5 or 6, 7, 8 minutes is they're giving the ball away too much. They're getting it all right, but they're giving it away, and if they give it away consistently, it'll cost them.
Brooking slipping there, the ball coming through to Talbot. Young. Allen. Pearson neatly tricking Brady. And that's a lovely ball, well taken there by Devonshire on his chest. Price is attacking him, Rice is right there with him, and Devonshire threatened to go past the pair of them, and the ball breaking here for Brooking. Hit straight, yes, a handball there by Brady. Struck firmly at him, and I think Liam Brady was saying that there was nothing he could do to get out of the way. And here are West Ham again with Stewart, the young Scot. Played in again there for Cross, my word, it almost fell to the boot of David Cross. In fact, it was Willie Young in the end who just got a really important touch there, although there was an infringement and a free kick. That's a throw to West Ham, and Arsenal as yet have not really got into their stride at all. So Brady has got to work out some magic. And their resolve and resilience and the running of players like the number 4 there, Brian Talbot, they've got to get Arsenal back on the path. They've strayed from that path at the moment. And Brooking, in fact, threatening to give that ball away again, as Brian Clough was saying a moment or two ago, but it broke nicely for him. And here's the youngest man in Wembley history, Paul Allen, finding Alan Devonshire. Lampard's gone outside him, and here is Frank Lampard. That's an interesting cross in there, and Rice, and they're all over the place at the moment there. Nobody quite knew what responsibility to take for what. And Martin climbing well above Sunderland to put it into touch for an Arsenal throw. In fact, he was jumping at the Arsenal player, and so it's a free kick to Arsenal, and no score at the moment between Celtic and Rangers in the Scottish Cup final at Hampden Park. Devine playing it forward again. Bonds again in there for West Ham. Pike flicked in here for Pearson, played on again for Pike. And here's Pearson again, taking it from Pike. Swung here towards David Price, and a bit of pushing there by Devonshire, giving Arsenal the free kick. Coming up to the half hour, and West Ham leading by 1-0, scored by Trevor Brooking. Touched on by Stapleton, but half an hour gone, coming up as you can see, 29 minutes 56 seconds, West Ham leading 1-0. Oh, Devonshire miscued there, but got it back very well indeed. it's unlike Arsenal to allow a man to get a ball back after it's been given away quite in that fashion. But here's Brady again being chased by Devonshire, shaking him off this time, and Sunderland up there with him. Rice, the captain, coming down this touchline. Pat Rice now. Past Paul Allen. Rice still going on his way again, and in the end, a nice move, perhaps the best one that Arsenal have put together in the game so far, stopped by Alvin Martin giving away the corner. And he had to give away that corner because Rice was advancing, and it's going to be Ricks who now takes the corner for Arsenal. Short to Rice. Heaven knows there are enough yellow shirts in that box now, and Rice, or rather Ricks, allowed to go a long way, and they're all over the place at the moment, are Arsenal, Brian.
That was a bit of hairy-fairy finishing there from young Ricks. What surprised me about West Ham is they're not sending two out for corners, allowing a 2-on-1 situation. I'm amazed that Arsenal haven't cashed in a little bit more than than they have.
Devonshire is down on the ground at the moment on the edge of the penalty area. And the ball whacked out of play there by Phil Parkes. So that Devonshire can have a bit of treatment. What I meant also was that Arsenal look strangely hesitant and don't seem to have got into this game at all as yet.
No, well, it was a shock when they obviously conceded a goal. Their game is patience. Their whole system over the last 4 or 5, 6 weeks has been built around keeping clean sheets and scoring goals in the last few minutes. I can't remember the last time they've conceded a goal in the first 10, 15 minutes of a match, and it's rather taken them by surprise. And they're having to readjust now. Terry and Don sitting on the bench, they can't do a thing about it. What young Devonshire's showing is he's showing a freshness which none of the Arsenal players apparently are showing at the moment. You and I can see Brady walking away there, Brian, out of camera shot, and he's walking away as though he's a little bit, already, and the match hasn't got to half-time yet.
Well, I think they've got a bit of a problem with Devonshire, and as you saw, Paul Brush, the defender, was warming up. Takes a few knocks in the course of a season. There's Paul Brush.
I lost some money, actually. I thought Pearson was going to be the first one to go down.
Well, there's a cheer from the West Ham fans for Alan Devonshire. What an amazing career he's having. Into the England squad, of course. Stapleton going to that one, and now Ricks, and Stewart getting it away. Arsenal, of course, with another very important date on Wednesday night in Brussels in the final of the European Cup Winners' Cup against Valencia of Spain. Devine pushing that ball in there. Talbot trying to dink it back once more. Alvin Martin there with a header. He would have liked to have got a little more length on that one, I suppose. It's Rice. And Billy Bonds into touch. Arsenal's throw. Talbot with it. And now Willie Young. And Arsenal have pushed a lot of men forward as Young fires another long one in there, but that's straight into the arms quite comfortably of Phil Parkes. And the throw finds Pearson. It's with Pike. Billy Bonds. And back to Phil Parkes. Lampard. Devonshire. Allen. Just can't quite get the touch he wants at the moment, but there again it comes for West Ham until Willie Young takes it on, takes it past Paul Allen. He's got a few yellow shirts up with him until Trevor Brooking comes back and at least gives them a slight breather, and the ball goes off David Price for the West Ham throw. 10 minutes to half-time. Pearson. It's Talbot. Challenged unfairly by Devonshire.
Here's the second one.
Pearson took a knock as well. And it's Talbot now for Arsenal. On for Stapleton. Ricks waiting patiently on that far touchline. Got a lovely left boot. And Pike is doing his darndest to make sure he can't use it. Billy Bonds out there as well. Bonds, who seems to be everywhere on this field at the moment. And it's Bonds who got the challenge in. Sunderland's little touch. Devonshire's little touch. Willie Young's shot over the West Ham crossbar, but it clipped off a West Ham defender for the corner. So Lampard at the near post. Brady with the kick. O'Leary up in there as well. Brady's long hanging free kick there, and both Willie Young and Sunderland there, but the header going quite tamely wide of the West Ham goal. Well, Billy Bonds, who escaped suspension when he faced an FA commission with 20 points, and what a break that was for West Ham, because he has been absolutely incredible here this afternoon. A real inspiration to his side. Young Paul Allen stepping on the ball there, but battling away, and I think may have twisted a knee as he seemed to tread on the ball there, in fact. And a free kick to Arsenal. But I think before that's taken, the 17-year-old might need a bit of treatment and looks to be in a lot of pain. Maybe he'll be able to run it off. And at the moment he's got to run back into defence to face this Arsenal free kick. George Courtney wanting the wall back 10 yards. Brady. He's got Young to aim for, Stapleton to aim for, Price to aim for, coming in late with those little chips of his. There it goes, just floated in there, and Alvin Martin, a brave header, because the boot was high there of Willie Young. But Martin went bravely in there, and West Ham now get the free kick. Pike's header. And that's Jennings' ball. Rice, Talbot, Rice again. Floated once more towards Stapleton, but it'll fall this time for David Price for Arsenal. Curled again towards Frank Stapleton, trying an overhead kick. Ricks was coming in fast, and Pike had shadowed him beautifully. In fact, the whistle had gone for an infringement, but young Pike's getting through a lot of work as well.
They're doing very, very well, but despite the fact, you know, that West Ham are one up, Brian, Arsenal are controlling most of this game.
Without making really sort of clear chances at the moment.
No, West Ham are defending well. Billy's had the ball more than anybody on the pitch.
And has used it well and has inspired men. He seems to have covered so much ground, Billy Bonds, and I think Alvin Martin was a little surprised there that Paul Allen left the ball for him. Martin winning it in the air. Devonshire getting in quickly. Pearson hoping for a bounce to go his way, but it didn't. Five minutes to go to half-time. 1-0 to West Ham. Trevor Brooking the scorer. Now Price. That little nodded on pass from Sunderland. Ricks crossing it in first time. It's a good cross as well. Will it come for Talbot? Will it come now for Brady? Allen and Pike holding him at bay. It's Graham Ricks again for Arsenal, right-footed this time. Talbot again right in there. And again West Ham get it away, this time to Pearson. Stewart, Pike, Stewart again, Pearson's little touch there, Pike again in there once more, but O'Leary up again for Arsenal. And West Ham's throw. Well, he's on a winning run, Brian Talbot. Winner for Ipswich and a winner for Arsenal. The man who got the goal that finally beat Liverpool, but that record is not going his way at the moment, because it's Pike now to Brooking, and West Ham leading by 1-0. Pike again with a cross there. Stuart Pearson right in there, nodding it back there, hoping that Devonshire would get there, but it was Talbot who stopped the shot. But Lampard now for West Ham. Well, that was optimism of the highest order. Well, you've sat there many a time, Brian, and you can imagine what's going on. A lot of squirming going on that bench at the moment, you can be sure.
What the Arsenal lot will be hoping is that the whistle for half-time goes straight away, so they can get something sorted out and get some enthusiasm going.
Apart from the enthusiasm, what would you see them needing to sort out now?
They've got to get young Talbot a kick, because apart from intercepting a pass, he's not had a kick.
Well, here's Billy Bonds, who's had more than a kick, and gets a free kick there for the challenge by Brady on him. And Brady showing his great disappointment there towards George Courtney. So, as Brian was saying, it's Brian Talbot who's got to get into it a little more for Arsenal. Brooking played here for Martin, and now for Billy Bonds. Allen letting it run, a little touch there. That's a better bit of play by him, and a nice little touch again there, but just played a little too firmly for Stuart Pearson. Ricks was in on the scene, with a couple of minutes now to go to half-time. Bonds beaten in the air that time, and in fact was jumping all over Sunderland, which concedes the free kick to Arsenal. Again, Willie Young is up, and it's a good time for Arsenal to get themselves back into this game, but Lampard's header holding him at bay there for a moment. 90 seconds to half-time, a little bit of time to be added on for stoppages, as John Devine tries his luck down that left touchline. A little flick in there for Sunderland, and Trevor Brooking getting that one away for Ricks to gather up. Back it goes once more. Talbot on a run, Stapleton on a run. Stapleton again shadowed by Billy Bonds. Brady playing it in first time for Price here. Oh, and a collision that might have had the ball going anywhere, and in the end it was Jeff Pike just flicking it out here for Brooking. Here's Brooking. Willie Young is after him. Crosses up ahead of him. And Devonshire supporting him also. Flicked in there again. He tried to get Pike on his way. It might come again for Devonshire. Now for Brady. And here's Brady. Ricks on this side of the field now. Misunderstanding, but it'll come for Willie Young, just beating David Cross, finding Pat Rice. 30 seconds to half-time. David Price on the ball for Arsenal. Ricks spraying it wide to Devine. And he gets there. But here's Paul Allen. And there might be a bit of space up there. Cut out by Willie Young. Ball by Pearson wasn't a particularly good one, and that wasn't a good one either. It's a throw for West Ham, and we're in time added on at the end of the first half. And it's goalless the first half of the Scottish Cup final between Rangers and Celtic at Hampden Park. As you can see, we're over the 45 minutes. And the ball with Talbot for Arsenal. Devine. Willie Young. Talbot. Rice playing it in once more. A little flick on by Sunderland, and Lampard doing the covering job there and getting it away. Things were happening too fast behind him for him to risk the pass back to this man, Phil Parkes, so he put it away for Talbot to take the throw. As the whistle goes for half-time, I think, yes it is, the half-time whistle. Trevor Brooking's goal gives West Ham the interval lead. A quick sum up from you, Brian.
A well-earned lead just because of their enthusiasm, and they took the one chance that dropped to them. Arsenal have controlled a lot of the game without actually creating any chances and looking very, very dangerous. So if West Ham can continue to have the discipline they're showing at the moment, and Arsenal do get over-anxious, they might get pulled forward and could concede another one. But I still fancy Arsenal.
There's the half-time conclusion then from Brian Clough. A half-time score here then at Wembley. Arsenal 0, West Ham 1, the scorer Trevor Brooking. Well, a great cheer from the West Ham fans behind that tunnel as their team come out. And of course the question is, can they hold on to that one-goal lead that Trevor Brooking got for them with that header inside the 6-yard area? Or will, as Brian Clough, Jack Charlton, Andy and St John all feel that Arsenal might, if they get the right sort of enthusiasm instilled in them during that half-time pep talk, will they yet come out on top? What a good shot there. Two great old campaigners on opposite sides, Pat Jennings and Trevor Brooking. There'll be a lot of people, Brian, who would say they wouldn't want to see that. You've got to go out there hating the opposition, but I don't know how you feel about that.
I noticed when they walked on to see the pitch at about 2:15, they were very, very friendly, talking together. Not those particular two, but the whole two sides. And I thought it was a tremendous credit to them, because when I was coming in, as I said earlier on, the supporters certainly weren't showing an example, and the teams on the field have been unbelievable.
In terms of what, of sportsmanship and comradeship and
sportsmanship and lack of fouling. There's been a physical side to the game, but the referee hasn't broken sweat yet. He's the only one on the field that hasn't broken sweat. He's given a couple of offsides, a couple of infringements, and a couple of his now famous indirects. But apart from that, it's been a magnificent cup final from that angle.
Well, for West Ham, it'll be a magnificent cup final if they can hold that one-goal lead as we start the second half. West Ham, remember, in the all-white strip. They'll be attacking the goal to our right now. And we shall see just what Arsenal can do in this second half. Whether Stapleton and Sunderland will have a better second half, whether enthusiasm will be instilled throughout the side by Terry Neal and Don Howe. That pass from Paul Allen almost leaving Billy Bonds in a bit of trouble there, but the ball coming for Price. And in fact, his clearance had to be a very quick one and not an accurate one. Brady finding Rice, played in first time there. Billy Bonds again at the centre of the action, not getting it away though. Rice versus Lampard. Devonshire in there as well, taking it outside the penalty area. And Lampard finally woofing it away there towards David Cross. Chested down for Brooking. Played there first time for Pearson and now for Devonshire. Pearson wanting it back. O'Leary. And the ball out of play. A smoke bomb from the Arsenal end, being dealt with by the police. Arsenal bench and the West Ham manager, John Lyall. Not that anyone will hear much what he's saying. You're so far from the pitch there. But at least it allows John Lyall to let off a bit of steam. Martin. And Stewart's header turned on there by Allen, but here's O'Leary. Pearson thought the feet were a little high there, I think, but George Courtney didn't, and that's what's important. And here's Sunderland now for Arsenal. Crossed in there once more towards Talbot, a backward header, and Pike getting it away. And West Ham just content to get that away from the penalty area and into touch. Devine for Arsenal. Lampard first to emerge from those defenders, and what a good header. Got a lot of length on that one. Pearson's header finding Pike. Tried to find Brooking, Brady there, and Stewart strongly into that one. Willie Young's header. David O'Leary's. Devine. Ricks. Sunderland, a good ball there for Graham Ricks. Turning Stewart. Ricks with a curling shot, and that needed to be pushed away. A really lovely piece of football there by Graham Ricks. And the corner about to be taken by Pat Rice as Ricks has his shot turned away by Phil Parkes. So Ricks with the corner. Floated in towards the near post where Willie Young is, but that was a good jump too by a West Ham defender. I'm not sure who it was. It was Billy Bonds, in fact. Talbot being hustled back. They're doing a lot of hustling, West Ham. But in fact, that shot by Ricks had to be saved. That might have just curled in, Brian.
Momentarily, I thought he was going to take the goalkeeper by surprise. His angle wasn't quite right.
Stewart being hustled here by Sunderland, but a free kick given to West Ham. Do you spot a greater enthusiasm about Arsenal and a greater purpose about them in the second half?
Certainly determination's crept in the last 5 minutes. I thought that was a foul on David O'Leary, put on Pearson. It was a foul. And Brady's gone with determination also. And obviously that last shot from young Ricks was a superb effort.
Allen playing it back.
I'll just make one little more point, Brian. Arsenal do not like this nonchalant knocking around by West Ham. They do it to perfection, and when they get it done to them, they don't like it. No side does.
What does it mean? They've got to come on a hot afternoon and get the ball and be maybe a little more energetic about it than they would like to be.
Plus the fact that they're 1-0 down, they know they've got to score, obviously. They don't like being pulled forward, and as I've said, they've got it off to a fine art, and when they have it done to them, they don't take it to it too kindly.
Brooking with the throw for West Ham. And back by Martin to Billy Bonds. And Pearson caught offside. He looks anxiously and as though he's prepared to debate the point, but there's no question when that ball was played by his captain, he was in an offside position. Brady shoveling that ball through now to Sunderland. Played in here for David Price. Stapleton. Price with a shot. Just a little more snap about Arsenal in this second half. As Brian was saying, there's a little more determination about them as this move builds up here. Flicked in nicely. A little touch by Stapleton. Price following it in.
This is where now, Brian, you're looking for midfield, and West Ham are looking for theirs.
Well, West Ham have all their talent in midfield with Devonshire and with Brooking, and they are needing a bit of steel as well. Devonshire's gone down again, and Price being hustled off that ball by Brooking, and it's a free kick for Arsenal. So Brooking and Devonshire, who's just getting to his feet again, if if they can keep a grip on this midfield. Supported, of course, by the busy play of Paul Allen. Stapleton. There's another shot there. Well, that was Alvin Martin getting down to his knees almost to knock that one away. Talbot. Rice. Ricks away on the left. Devine to Brady. Ricks playing it in early, but almost lazily.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That young man should be keeping the ball.
To Ricks.
No, the West Ham defender, having got it, he whacked it out of play. Should be keeping the ball.
Brady. Got a foul on him by Pike. There's hardly a bead of sweat on his forehead, as Brian was saying. George Courtney. Devine played in here for Sunderland. Brady. Ricks, a bit of space for him. Stewart coming to fill it now, but bumped into Sunderland, but all is not lost because Devine is here for Arsenal. Willie Young turning it back, a nice little turn back as well, but there's Billy Bonds yet again for West Ham, and a foul that time by Cross on Rice.
Brian, if West Ham allow themselves to get pinned in their own penalty area, it'll be a disaster for them.
Well, they're being pinned back there now. It's Sunderland for O'Leary, who's come right in there. A little chip there towards Willie Young. Not it off his head, though, by, I think it's Alan Devonshire down there who's taken it in the face. No, it's Alvin Martin. A clash of youngs there, of heads there with Willie Young. Well, it'll be a painful replay, but let's see how they did it again. Nice little ball played there. Look at O'Leary of all people, and a beautiful cross by him towards Willie Young. Martin and Willie Young going down. So they'll both be ready to go on again in a moment. Looks as though Willie Young's first to his feet, and as though Alvin Martin might have quite a shiner there. It's a corner for Arsenal, which David Price will take. And there it is. Parks coming for it, and Parks grabbing it well. Feeling that Arsenal are getting Sammy Nelson ready, Brian. He's just taken his tracksuit bottoms off. Well, Paul Allen couldn't get a contact there, and it fell for David Price. Now for Stapleton. Here's Price again. Devine. Brady. Going all the way, getting to the byline there. That's behind by Devonshire. And Sammy Nelson, you can see on the right of the picture, beginning to strip himself off. And maybe Terry Neal regretting that he hasn't got a forward to come on. Although there's still some way to go with just 10 minutes of the second half gone. West Ham leading a goal to nil. And Parks again. Perfect catching. Superb handling under pressure. Brian?
The referee's given a free kick, but he wasn't to know he was going to give a free kick, and he took that at a very awkward height. It was a good corner, and it came over Willie Young, and that's the second time he's taken the corner in quick succession. His handling appears to be superb at the moment.
The side of Sammy Nelson on the bench and the possibility of him coming on, what's your feeling about that?
Well, the nightmare that the management of Arsenal are living with at the moment. I'll just read it.
No, Billy Bonds is there again, Brian.
The nightmare that they're living with at the moment is not only the 1-0 down. I don't know where they're going to play the lad if he comes on, and that's always a disadvantage, as I've said, when you have a full-back as sub.
Well, it's West Ham in possession at the moment with Jeff Pike, trying so hard to get away from being pinned back for so long, and Pearson finding Brooking, but being stopped by Brady, who is a new Brady in this second half. There's no question of that. And a long ball forward. Martin's chasing, Stapleton's with him, and Alvin Martin safely back to his keeper. Bonds. Cross. Brooking. All played there towards Pearson. Right on the edge of the box. In fact, there's not even a free kick. It's a goal kick for Arsenal. Any comment, Brian?
No, we'll see it here again in a second. I don't think it was touched.
Good decision. Devine. O'Leary. Brady. Price. Ricks. O'Leary always giving it to young Paul Allen. Played back here for Cross. Played on quickly there, but far too quickly for Allen. It's going to be Willie Young. And Sammy Nelson continuing to warm up. Price. Devine. Devine with the cross. And it'll be Rice on the other side. O'Leary coming up more and more, and again getting a good cross in that time towards Stapleton, but here's Devonshire for West Ham. Pike. Pearson. And Allen battling away, but in danger of losing it, and then finding the ball at his feet and finding Pike. Flicked there in a lot of space now for West Ham, and a chance for them to come surging forward at last to pin Arsenal back for a change, with Lampard and Bonds going outside him. That's a nice ball played there for Billy Bonds, and hit off Pat Rice behind for the corner, and the breather that West Ham needed. They needed to push Arsenal away from their own penalty area, and it's amazing where Billy Bonds is finding this stamina. 33, 34 years old, terrific campaigner. And Alvin Martin coming up from the back. The corner taken now, and it's with Devonshire. Now with Brooking. That left foot, that lazy cross coming in there. Bonds, and in fact it comes off Willie Young, I think, for another corner to West Ham. Brooking. Pike. Stewart. Crossed in once more. Martin's right in there. Willie Young. Sunderland hooking it away. Devonshire with a chance to take it wide of Ricks. Turn it inside for Lampard. Arsenal pulling men forward. The back four forward quickly to try and catch people offside. Their nerve didn't hold quite long enough because West Ham spotted it. And Brooking now swinging it towards David Cross on the far side. But O'Leary is there again for Arsenal. And here's Brady. A quarter of an hour of the second half gone. Half an hour to go now. And they're still without a goal in Scotland in the Scottish Cup final between Rangers and Celtic. Ricks with that free kick. And this time I think there is a free kick to Arsenal, but the foul by Billy Bonds on Graham Ricks. Brady, O'Leary. And they are being either tempted or forced to push a few men further forward now, Arsenal. And Brady is one of them. And the shot into the side netting. And certainly Brady looks a different proposition in this second half. Wants to get into the game, but that shot going into the side netting. And the substitute is coming on, and John Devine is coming off. They're substituting one full-back for another, with the exception, of course, that Sammy Nelson is renowned for his ability to come forward and increase the power of attack. Terry Neal giving the young Irishman batsman a pat on the back. But probably wishing that he got an out-and-out attacker or an attacking midfielder to bring on now. Because it's West Ham in the lead, and with Paul Allen in possession for them now. Pike, Brooking, that's a West Ham throw. Stewart, Pearson, Brooking, will hit it straight at O'Leary, and Ricks hitting it straight at Billy Bonds. And Bonds in turn giving it away, but trying to get it back, and the ball falling for Sunderland. Ricks playing it forward again. That's a nicer looking ball there for Stapleton. Martin's right there with him. That wasn't a very good clearance there by Stewart. I think he scuffed the turf with it as well. It's Arsenal's throw. It's a real knife-edge situation, Brian, now, isn't it?
It is, because West Ham appear to be hanging on. The longer it goes, obviously, the stronger they'll get. But there's still plenty of time to go.
And at the moment, it's Sammy Nelson with his first real touch, and it's a throw. It's a good long throw as well there towards Willie Young. Lampard and Martin were both up there. Price trying to turn it back again. Paul Allen getting it away, but not very far. Talbot nicking it in there again. Willie Young and Brady between them trying to make something of it in the end. Brady goes down, the challenge by Pike and Brooking, and Arsenal now get a free kick right on the edge of that on that West Ham penalty area. So the West Ham wall has got to be secure and well formed. Parks has got to get a sight of the ball, and looking at it from the other side, either Brady, Talbot or Ricks have got to do something about it. It looks as though it'll be Ricks playing a short ball to Talbot, with a better angle maybe for him, and a shot beautifully taken by Parks. Well, it was pretty clear what Arsenal intended. Even so, the shot was a good one and the save was even better. And you were saying at lunchtime, Brian, that Phil Parks might well have been the best buy of all time for West Ham, and it was a lovely piece of keeping.
He caught it beautifully. It was sweetly struck and it was cleanly taken. You couldn't have got a better example of two facets of a free kick.
A free kick which Rice will take for Arsenal. And some ironic cheers from West Ham fans who feel one or two decisions have been going against their team, from George Courtney. So he's had a good game, but I think he'll be the first to admit it's not been a difficult one for him so far. Brooking now. Pearson played on for Devonshire, onside, and played onside, in fact, by Sammy Nelson on this side of the field. Back for Pearson. He's got support from Lampard. He's got support in here from Paul Allen. Oh, nice little play by the 17-year-old now. A shot from him, perhaps? Well, you can forgive him that. Well, it's difficult to beat Pat Jennings from that sort of range, but the 17-year-old, in fact, had got himself into a nice little position there, Brian.
He took it beautifully and he beat the onrushing midfield player, but then he lost his cool, poor man.
He showed he was 17, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's Ricks for Arsenal, and it's 25 minutes remaining. Brady, O'Leary, they're still pushing a lot of men forward. Here's Rice, the captain, on the far side. The cross coming in again, and once more it's the West Ham captain, Billy Bonds. Willie Young to Liam Brady, played wide again for David O'Leary. And again that cross comes in. He's a good crosser of the ball, O'Leary. But this time it's Ricks. Sammy Nelson. There's the cross, and Devonshire with the header away this time. David Cross being challenged, and in the end I thought being beaten by Willie Young, but in fact it comes to Arsenal with Pat Rice, now with Brady, but he lost control, and young Paul Allen coming away with the ball. Looking around to see what's on, couldn't believe his luck, and Brooking just sticking it out nicely there for Pike, who's got Allen and Cross up with him. Pike now prepared to take on Sammy Nelson, and tried to turn it in there, but it came off the Arsenal defender, and back it goes to Pat Jennings.
Just lack of experience there. If a young Pike had just held on, the full-back was coming like a steam engine behind him, and that's all it needs, just a moment's delay, and you were then aware of a situation.
Yes, Stewart, the full-back, was making a nice break for him. But it's Brady now. Martin's header. And they're still looking very confident, West Ham, Brian.
I've never seen a West Ham side head the ball so much in my life.
And there's one man you've got to pick out still in this second half, and here he is, Billy Bonds.
He's going like a bomb. And Brooking set the pattern when he scored with his head.
Halfway through the second half now. Nelson for Arsenal. A team you can never write off. And my word, they proved that after they seemed to have thrown everything away in that cup final last year against Manchester United, and then when they really should have been dead and buried, well, they came back within a minute, and Alan Sunderland got the goal that won the cup when anyone would have thought the pendulum was swinging the other way. But can West Ham hold on for, what, another 22 minutes? It's Nelson with the throw. A shorter one, this time to Brady. That's not a bad bet. Back it comes again for Nelson. Nodded on by Sunderland. Hooked away by Martin. O'Leary returning it with good measure there. Stewart up, but beaten in the air by Sunderland. Price might be through. No. Martin's there. It's not away yet. Devonshire, and finally Pearson hook it away, but West Ham looked a little wobbly for a moment there. Ricks, and it'll fall for Allen. And now Devonshire, who's got Pearson outside him. Well, Pearson can really attack that corner of the penalty area, bringing the ball in, and nobody there. Just up another couple of yards, and David Cross might have got ahead to it. But that might be the pattern, mightn't it, with Arsenal pushing a lot of men forward, as they have to now, that they might be a little susceptible to a quick West Ham break. It's with O'Leary at the moment, and now with Price, and now with Brady, as Arsenal come looking for that equaliser. O'Leary playing forward more and more. In fact, he's almost now an old-fashioned outside right. Now they've got just three at the back, Arsenal. Here's O'Leary again. But off Lampard. And the ball still in play with Stuart Pearson. Brooking. And Nelson versus Pike, and it falls for Nelson, but or rather for Pike. And it's Willie Young. Stapleton. Liam Brady. Stopped by Devonshire, pulled back by him, free kick. And I think the referee will want a quick word with Brady. Probably have it with him while they're running along.
A couple of times, Brian, where the West Ham players, Pike in particular, showing a lot of inexperience, you know. He should be putting his foot on it, and he should be making the Arsenal defenders really pay for getting pulled forward. And he's just giving the ball away.
Fred Street, the Arsenal physio, out there on the touchline. Where I think O'Leary's struggling. That's what it is. O'Leary's got a shin pad off, and his right sock down by his boot. And I think he's struggling a bit. And remember, Arsenal have already got their substitute on. And they're a goal down. And Brooking has found Lampard. And West Ham are on the attack again. And Cross turns it over. The flag had gone up for an offside, though. And it's a free kick. And O'Leary is going to hobble off. Let's look at this first, though.
Pearson should have had it, Brian. It was an offside decision, and he was off. Pearson should have had that ball. He held his hands out for it.
Well, played back a little bit to him, yes. Well, this will be a terrible blow for Arsenal if
Looks as though he's got a slight strain, calf-wise, either that or cramp.
And West Ham have got a player down as well here.
Yeah.
Alvin Martin, who had a bang in the face, if you remember, when he clashed with Willie Young at the start of this second half, and they've got Paul Brush warming up.
Brian, this is the time when it tells.
Yes, I noticed that Billy Bonds had got his socks around his ankles a moment or two ago, and it's really on a day like this, when you come to the last quarter of an hour, 20 minutes of a really hard final, that the mistakes are tending to creep in a little bit, I would think. So what do? Try and play in West Ham's position, a nice containing game without making people run too much for long balls? Or
all the time. You never give the ball away. You never, ever, ever give it away. And frustrate the opposition, because Arsenal want you to play it long. They want to get the ball very, very quickly.
Well, Alvin Martin's back on his feet again. O'Leary, though, is really struggling. There's no question, if they hadn't made their substitution, I would have thought Arsenal might have been tempted. There's David O'Leary on the ball now. They might well have been tempted to say, well, I think at this state of the game it might be an idea for you to come off. But with their substitute on, there's nothing they can do about that. Ricks, though, finding Talbot, Willie Young planting it in there, David Price right in there, Price in there. And in the end it's back with Phil Parkes. I think Alvin Martin's problem was that he was feeling maybe a little woozy after a knock on the head. He's got a terrible left eye, I think you can see. Yeah, that's been the problem. Willie Young being hustled by Cross. Devonshire finding Pearson. David Cross waiting in the middle, but that'll be too high for him. Sammy Nelson turning it back. That was a canny thing to do to Pat Jennings. Brady. Well, you could see young Paul Allen trying to hold him back, and the referee, I should think, thought about playing an advantage and then felt that Brady wasn't going to get any advantage out of it, so it's a free kick to Arsenal. 16 minutes to go. West Ham still doggedly holding to this one-goal lead, and Brady playing the free kick here for Sunderland. Bonds going with him, but Sunderland getting it over. Phil Parkes going down. So West Ham within a quarter of an hour of a prize that few expected them to get. Leading 1-0, except that there are a lot of people there with claret and blue who did expect them to do it. And of course the prize is not only having your name on the cup, you qualify for the European Cup Winners' Cup next season, which in itself is a tremendous money spinner. In fact, if Liverpool had beaten Arsenal in the other semi-final, West Ham would have already qualified for Europe, because of course Liverpool would go in automatically as champions. It's Ricks now. A long snaking run. It's Brady with a shot. It's a free kick, though. The whistle had gone. It's a free kick for Arsenal again, just outside that West Ham penalty area, with exactly 15 minutes to go.
And see Willie Young going up there, Brian. I'd be tempted, if I was sitting miles away on a bench, and it's always easy sitting from where we are, I'd be tempted to leave him up.
Well, there's Willie up there now. Brady with the free kick. Chip towards Willie Young. It'll be too high for him. It goes behind them all, and Pearson quite happy to let it go behind for the goal kick. But Willie Young is going back again. Fred Street once more on there, just to take some shin guards from David Price.
The Arsenal fans are remarkably quiet. They're sensing, you know, a lot of frustration out there.
And yet, I suppose, with David O'Leary injured the way he is, if they'd thought about taking Willie Young forward, they can't really do that. It exposes them far too much at the back. But Pike now for Brooking. Brooking's cross. Flicked on header there by Devonshire, and it's going to go behind for the goal kick. Rob Jenkins, the West Ham physio, I think just making sure that Alvin Martin's all right. Are you okay? Thumbs up. And Alvin Martin probably can't hear him. May even not know what's going on at the moment. It may be a touch of mild concussion, but he knows enough to know that West Ham are in the lead and that this is not the time to desert them. Especially with Arsenal coming forward again with Brady. Flicked in there once more. Lampard's header getting it away to Jeff Pike, in turn turning it away. And one or two of them are finding it difficult to raise a gallop at the moment.
It was a slow motion job then between Crossy and David O'Leary. It was unbelievable. Nobody really wanted to go for it, you know.
Well, this man goes on and on. That's Talbot. Pike played forward again for David Cross, looking to see who he can pass the ball on to, and it's Paul Allen playing it wide here for Stuart Pearson. Well, Stuart Pearson, who won here with Manchester United against Liverpool, in fact scored that day. Minutes and still goalless at Hampden Park between Rangers and Celtic in the Scottish Cup final. Brookings says, I'll have a go at this, and just plays it on here for Stuart Pearson. Here's Jeff Pike. Arsenal for once being pushed back. Stuart coming up alongside him, needing somebody, as Brian was saying, just to hold on to the ball, and suddenly a gap there for Jeff Pike, and pretty innocuous shot, except that with David Cross coming in, it might have been turned into something. It's Sammy Nelson. It's Graham Rix, and it's 11 minutes to go. Willie Young. Played for Pat Rice, his 5th FA Cup final. They've lost here to Ipswich and to Leeds back in '72. He's also won in the double year and won against Manchester United. O'Leary. Brady pushed way out on the right-hand side of the field at the moment, and he couldn't quite get that ball. And John Lyall. He'd give anything for the next 10 minutes to vanish in the space of a couple of seconds, I'm sure. Because there are just 10 minutes left now as Brooking tries to get away from the people who are shadowing him and whacks the ball out here to the right-hand side for Jeff Pike. And Pike couldn't quite keep it in.
It was a good ball, Brian, in the sense that that's the last place Arsenal want to go into corner flags and wide, and West Ham should be doing that now in the last 10 minutes. All the experience of Brooking and the Bonds and the Lampards, and you can name anybody you like with any experience. Cross and Pearson should be going towards that direction.
You don't play silly games now. You're near your own penalty area, in other words.
No, you don't, and you frustrate the opposition to such an extent that it would be incredible.
Well, here's Stapleton. Can Arsenal find something from this situation? Being hustled away, and here come West Ham again, and it's Paul Allen. And he's learnt to hit it again where Arsenal didn't want it, except that Willie Young is there. And now Sammy Nelson. Talbot. Brady. Free kick to Arsenal. already taken. Brady finding Brian Talbot. Played wide again for Pat Rice. There's that cross going in again. Billy Bonds is on the end of it though for West Ham. David Cross trying to get a bit of ground for West Ham. And it comes to O'Leary. And now for Price again. And they look absolutely exhausted out there at the moment. You get the feeling it's going to be a mistake that leads to a goal one way or the other. And Brian Clough next to me indicating that somebody must stand on the ball for West Ham when they get possession like this. But it's Devonshire now going a long, long way. And here's Stuart Pearson. Arsenal, to their credit, have got a lot of people back very quickly. Pike. Devonshire. Pearson. 8 minutes to go. Stewart. The little boy Allen going in there and gets it away from Pat Jennings, and Pat has to come out of his penalty area. But a good pass there by Jennings for Liam Brady. Now, who's got the strength? Brady, and so too had Brooking, and that was a good challenge and a good whack away there, which Rice has retrieved for Arsenal. Talbot, a bit of space, but it's almost slow motion stuff now. The heat and a long season seems to have got to both sides now, and it's agonising almost. It's like watching men at the end of a sunny marathon staggering towards the line. Ricks still with a bit of spring in his stride, but you see not enough power in the end to get in a worthwhile shot. 7 minutes now to go. Pat Rice with the ball, and Paul Brush again warming up for West Ham. Cross. Holding it up, the sensible thing to do. Allen now, waiting for support. Bonds, of all people, making the break down that left-hand side. Billy Bonds for West Ham. Calling for the ball from Devonshire, playing it in there towards Willie Young. Devonshire trying to get in there. Oh, Stewart almost got a shot in there, and finally the whistle's gone because the flag was being raised on this side. And there was a foul there somewhere. It was almost a good shot that Stewart got in there. Brush warming up. Lampard's header. Cross. Worbetide, the man who makes a mistake now, and Cross has given it to Stapleton. Here's Brady. What was Cross doing? And Martin in the end. A good saving challenge there, but that was a bad mistake in the first place by David Cross. A silly ball to play back there. But here he is, heading it down, and this time it goes to Willie Young. And now into space for Brian Talbot. But it's Ray Stewart across there for West Ham.
Son, hold the ball. Just hold it, son.
Well, Paul Allen has found Trevor Brooking. That may not be a bad bet for him. And over on this side is Stuart Pearson. Pike thought about an overlap, but just didn't have it in him to get past. So Stuart Pearson is going on his own, cut out by Sammy Nelson. But have you ever seen two sides looking quite as exhausted at Wembley as these, Brian?
No, they've just about had it, but they've only got the last out another 5 minutes.
Yes, 5 minutes, as you can see, just over to go. Well, West Ham have 5 minutes to hang on, but Arsenal will remember how near they were in that semi-final against Liverpool. It's not done until the last whistle, and Arsenal have got a corner off Alvin Martin as Brady tried to get in behind him. So is this the moment for Arsenal? David Price with the corner. Arsenal have piled everybody forward. A great jump by Stuart Pearson, in fact, that time, and then a belt away by Paul Allen. Pat Rice is the only man up for, or man back for Arsenal, as long as there's Pat Jennings there as well, and Brian Talbot's come back to help him.
See the put Willie Young centre forward, Brian.
Sorry?
The put Willie Young centre forward.
Yes, he's up there now, Willie Young. Well, it's the time with 4 minutes left to take all sorts of risks, even though David O'Leary is not totally fit at the back. That's just a risk that Arsenal have to accept now. And here's David Cross, but there's not much of a spring in David Cross's stride at the moment. as Ricks comes back to try and hold him off. Well, he's got the cross in though. Rice getting it away. Willie Young coming back to help out for a moment, although he had been pushed forward. Pearson's little flick, which really wasn't what was required. And now Talbot for Arsenal. David Price. Well, I tell you, if Arsenal score and we get extra time, I don't know how the players are going to last another 30 minutes. Rice knocking it in. Pearson getting it away. But again, it may have been a case for somebody trying to hold on to it and keep possession, because all that's happened now is that Arsenal have got it back again. Lampard this time to Brooking. Played on this time for Devonshire. With 3 minutes now to go. Brooking again, played in here for Allen, and suddenly the gap has opened up for the 17-year-old. Paul Allen, brought down by Willie Young, and a yellow card comes out for Young, when suddenly Paul Allen saw himself all the way through there. Well, the gap opened up for the youngster, and my word, how well he took it. And then there was that, followed by the yellow card. Well, you would have thought a 17-year-old's legs would have been rubber by now, but he found something there, Paul Allen, Brian.
Told you, at that age, they don't think about anything. They just keep going. They don't think about tiredness, fear, or anything.
Well, Ray Stewart, who's got a direct free kick. Will he get it through the Arsenal wall? He has, but over the crossbar for the corner. And we are now left with 2 minutes. And look at the animation on that West Ham bench. Get back, they're saying, get back. And the Arsenal people saying, get forward, get forward. And David Cross of West Ham on the edge of that 6-yard area, just wanting that 2 minutes to go as quickly as they possibly can. Crossed in again, and the flag up. A free kick to Arsenal, Pat Jennings with it. Sammy Nelson turning it back. Well, it's a time for resolve now for West Ham, and it's a time for enterprise for Arsenal. The underdogs who won here when Sunderland beat Leeds in '73 and when Southampton beat Man United in '76. Is it really going to happen again? Just over a minute to go now. Willie Young getting in the header. Trevor Brooking just nodding it sideways there. For Frank Lampard going past Graham Ricks, looking to see if there's anybody possibly available. There's no way back. And so he plays it down the line, and that turns out to be a good ball to Stuart Pearson. Inside for David Cross. 1 minute now to go. A question of them keeping possession. Plank. And yet you still would never rule out Arsenal, as Stuart plays that ball in again towards Cross. And in fact, they let it go to Stuart Pearson on the far side. There's the cross coming in again, and that's going to be a goal kick. But that'll take up a few seconds more. Brian.
It's a long time since I've seen a side a minute away from winning a cup keep crossing the ball and giving it away like this lot.
Well, they might yet regret it. Well, Brian Talbot knows what it is about winning at Wembley. Will today be the first time he faces defeat? It's incredible. There are 15 seconds left, and Arsenal are on the ball still. And the ball floated in once more towards that West Ham penalty. Yeah, it's all over though! And West Ham have won it! Men are on the field, are on the ground in fact. They're hugging each other. 3 West Ham players are still on the ground. The joy of the underdogs West Ham. And now they're getting up. But David Cross is still down. Trevor Brooking was down as well. But Trevor Brooking's goal has brought a victory for West Ham. The underdogs have done it again. And their fans, Devonshire's a delight. And there's the happiest man. How does the manager feel at this moment, Brian? And don't you feel pleased for him?
He won't know what to say. He won't know. Honestly, it won't be sinking in. It won't be sinking in. It'll take him 10-15 minutes. It couldn't happen to a more pleasant guy.
Well, what an amazing thing.
Brian,
Alvin Martin.
I also know how Don Howe and Terry are feeling. If you could get a view of them. I know cup finalists for the winners, but...
Yes, but finalists are also somebody has to lose. And the 17-year-old being hugged there by Pat Holland. who was injured and didn't get into the side. Well, that's real tremendous. That's real team spirit. I'm not sure that Pat Holland isn't crying. The 17-year-old, the youngest man ever to play at Wembley, in his first season as a league player, comes away with a cup winner's medal. Bobby Ferguson, the reserve goalkeeper, as well. It's amazing. And when you think of players like Alan Devonshire, who 4 years ago was playing non-league football for Southall and driving a forklift truck for the Hoover Company, and Willie Young, well, it's pure romance, this. West Ham will go to collect the cup first. They're followed up by the losers. And the thing, of course, that Terry Neal has got to do now, Brian, is to lift them all for Brussels on Wednesday. A shake of hands from the two managers.
See, what's going through the Arsenal lads' minds, Brian, at the moment is that's a year's work up the spout.
And Terry Neal, in fact, going to every Arsenal player, getting them up off the ground and saying, come on, chin up. Well, there's no need to say that to this man, Billy Bonds. He was up here in 1975 to receive the cup, and here he comes again. From Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Kent, the Hammers have done it again. Frank Lampard, Ray Stewart, his first year at West Ham, Jeff Pike, who ran, Alvin Martin, who had the nasty collision and a bad eye, Stuart Pearson, who did all this with Manchester United. Well, he's in tears. Poor Paul Allen is crying his eyes out, and his chairman Len Kearns there look concerned. There are smiles here from his teammates, but crying his eyes out there, the 17-year-old Paul Allen. Phil Parkes, the goalkeeper, the goal scorer, Trevor Brooking, and look at this little man. Well, every mother will weep with him as well. To think when West Ham won this in 1975, he was in his second year as a comprehensive schoolboy. And here he is, Paul Allen. A day and a moment he'll never forget, and he needn't worry about the tears today. What about that, Brian?
Incredible sight for the young man. I don't think if he plays in the game another 20 years, I don't think he'll be able to get a better moment than this.
And the man who's guided them there, John Lyall. And West Ham will, while Arsenal in fact are getting their losers' medals. It's a sad thing, but it happens every year. As Brian says, Wembley is no place for losers. It's a formality for them and a few cursory pats on the back. But really, eyes everywhere are for these people now. Don Howe shaking the hand of Alan Devonshire in the background, Paul Brush, who thought he was going to play all this week and then had the bombshell yesterday on the left of the picture, and Trevor Brooking of England and West Ham. A loyal West Ham man, and the man who has now taken them into Europe with that goal of his. I think they'll want to just look at the photographers as well there. Well, there's the... Just look at those rank upon rank upon rank of photographers. As West Ham, Alan Devonshire. 4 years ago, a non-league player with Southall. And happiness at the moment is being a Hammer. Into Europe, and these fellas have got to do a job for British football in Europe on Wednesday night as well, and let's hope they do that successfully. And David O'Leary has already left the field, incidentally. David O'Leary has left the field, presumably to get to that dressing room. If he needs treatment, he starts right away. But there's the delight as Ray Stewart and Alan Devonshire take the cup around for West Ham. a welcome they've got waiting for them at that end of the field. Paul Allen gets his hand on the cup. It's amazing to think he was a schoolboy 5 years ago, and only a young schoolboy at that, 17 years old, and just look at those flags and banners from West Ham. Hard luck Arsenal, but best wishes for Brussels when they play Valencia, and at the top, congratulations to West Ham United. Phil Parkes, who really didn't, apart from some immaculate handling, didn't really have an awful lot to do in terms of saving shots, except one beautiful free kick from Brian Talbot. Well, the outsiders have confounded the critics, the bookmakers, and everybody else except their own fantastic fans. We all said it had to be Arsenal. In the end, it's turned out to be West Ham. Well, sympathy for them. What a long, long, hard season. I wonder if maybe right at the end, all the effort they put into beating Liverpool, the effort they put into beating Juventus, the effort they've had staying near the top of the First Division may, at this most crucial moment of all, just told its own tale and just left them wanting that little bit that they couldn't give.
It's a very emotional scene after cup finals. It staggers me that you've got so much left to talk as long as this. I'd just like to look and absorb and to feel it all. I'm absolutely thrilled.
Terry Neill, not only capping the Arsenal supporters, but I tell you, what he's applauding there, he's applauding the West Ham supporters, which is a terrific gesture. I tell you, I shan't forget for a long time the sight of that little boy coming down with tears in his eyes there.
No, it was a beautiful moment in a cup final. It's amazing what success does, Brian. West Ham could go and play another 90 minutes now.
I'm sure they could. He doesn't want to go away. I don't blame him. Well, I think they've got breath to win. They've got breath to do a radio interview as well. Stuart Pearson and young Paul Allen. Right, the players are going off to the dressing room, and in a moment we should be talking to them, and I hope we get a word with Paul Allen as well. And we should be getting the views of Jack Charlton and Ian St John as outside the crowds begin to flock away, looking back on another day when the outsiders have beaten the favourites.